So, really excited to be in March. January, February gone. So we're March 3rd. Actually, believe it or not, we are 1 month away from my son's birthday today. So I do have a box going out to him, and let me see if we got some connectivity issues going on, but we'll see how it works out. So anyway, it's 1 month away, my son's birthday. Getting together a care package for him of a bunch of Girl Scout cookies. So thank you to the girls that sold them outside of the Jewel. So stocked up for that, and certainly working to get those overseas. Honestly, I gotta tell you that nothing says home than getting a care package of Girl Scout cookies. So if you are sending or putting together a care package for our troops, Girl Scout cookies are the thing to do. So today is um hold on one second. My laptop froze up. You gotta love technology. I tell you, it's a lot of fun, but it also is a big headache. So, all right, now we're all working and ready to go, so that I can certainly let you know. Today is I got out my Forrest Gump mug. If you can kind of see it, it's I got it at the Bubble Gump Shrimp Company, and it's one of the most iconic parts of the Forrest Gump movie. And I think it kind of sums up a little bit of how people are feeling, and have a great day, and just the visual it is. I hope people are having a good day. I know a lot of people are a little stressed, and certainly can feel that way, but just wanted to share a little bit of fun with the mug today. So definitely, it's a lot of we gotta caffeine up and start the week and enjoy the day. And hopefully the sun will come out, but we'll see. But Ellen, thank you for joining us today. So today, or March 2nd, that was yesterday, Sunday, was National Read Across America Day. I try to read almost every day. I have a couple books going, so I read a little bit of each book for the most part. But actually, it was in honor of Dr. Seuss' birthday, March 2nd, and it's recognized as National Reading Day. There, we have worked on the state to provide books. I know back in the day, my kids had the book fair and Scholastic books, and we partnered with the Dolly Parton organization, but a lot of folks, and actually 60% of low-income families, don't have children books in their home. And so home libraries are really important. And I love the neighborhood libraries that are popping up that people put in parks and in front of their houses, that have books for people and children that are walking by. They can just grab a book and read it. So obviously, public libraries are really important. We got the Aurora Public Library and the Oswego Public Library right here in our area. And to find a little free library, which I talked to you about, I go to littlefreelibrary.org. Now, today is a fun day for me because I'm Polish, and today is Casimir Pulaski Day, March 3rd. So we observe it here in Illinois and in Indiana. And looking at General Casimir Pulaski, he was a Polish-American hero of the Revolutionary War. Pulaski is celebrated for his bravery and leadership in cavalry tactics, earning him the title of Father of American Cavalry. So his dedication to the cause of American independence is a powerful reminder of the contribution immigrants have made to our nation's history. His legacy continues to be honored, especially among Polish American communities, as a symbol of freedom, perseverance, and service. So it's observed the first Monday in March. And look at, Pulaski's impact and celebrate the deep ties between the United States and Poland. And hopefully the schools and all around our community are going to be highlighting them. So fun fact is, back in the day, my grandparents lived on Pulaski, 56th and Pulaski to be exact. So that was the stomping grounds of my childhood when I went to visit my grandparents there in Chicago. So I have memories not only of those times, but also of driving down Pulaski and, of course, knowing who Casimir Pulaski was. So, and obviously, my grandparents were Polish. My grandfather came over from Poland when he was 17 and stayed with an uncle, and then, you know, got jobs and lived the American dream. So, certainly, really great history there. And then, of course, Punchki Day. That is Tuesday. Punchki Day, also known as Fat Tuesday, is a Polish tradition that has become really a great celebration across the whole U.S., especially in cities with strong Polish heritage like Chicago and out in the suburbs. So, what is a Punchki? It is a whole bunch of calories in a yummy deep fried pastry, similar to a donut, fruit filled, cream filled pastries, and you can find them pretty much everywhere. As a matter of fact, I just saw, as I said, I was at Jewel. I got Girl Scout cookies, and even the Jewel Bakery has punchkis. So certainly, Punchki Day falls on March 4th. And all our bakeries around the area will certainly be happy to provide you with delicious treats on Punchki Day. And then on Saturday, March 8th, March is Women's History Month. Should have said that right when I started. So March is Women's History Month, and we just recognize and celebrate the achievements of women throughout history. On Saturday, March 8th is International Women's Day. So it's a global movement dedicated to advancing gender equality and empowering women in all aspects of society, and also acknowledge the work that still does remain, and just working. A fun fact is there's been a lot of information about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and part of that is diversity, equity, inclusion is women and veterans, and to make sure that we are all treated equally, we are included, and we really embrace diversity. So, Women's History Month, along with Black History Month, is about that, uh, that to me, common sense thing. Uh, Celebrating our diversity, looking how we can include everybody and treat everybody equally with respect and caring. It's almost like the golden rule. Do unto others as you want them to do to you. It's the same thing. So, looking at all that, yeah, on Saturday, I was part of a women's veterans resource fair right here in Aurora. Got to talk to amazing women veterans and enjoyed the day, learning about resources even that I didn't quite know about, and certainly connecting with things. So if you're a veteran out there, please connect with your services. So I apologize for being distracted. My computer keeps sending me my laptop, because I use my laptop and my computer, keeps sending me messages to restart, and I keep frantically hitting delay, because those of us have that issue when the computer restarts right in the middle of something, which is really unfortunate. And then Mardi Gras, March 4th is also Mardi Gras. We talked about it. Fat Tuesday, Punchki Day, and Mardi Gras. Colorful parades, festive music, and rich cultural traditions. This is rooted in French Catholic heritage. Mardi Gras marks the last day before Lent, a season of reflection and fasting. So Mardi Gras is kind of the same vein as eating wonderful punchkis, as eating wonderful food, lively gatherings, and embracing the spirit of the community. Certainly, if you happen to be upon New Orleans, it's going to be a lot going on there. And then March is also Illinois Poison Prevention Month. So it raises awareness about poisoning hazards, risks, especially for children. Children don't always understand what they see. A small little pill on the side of the counter could look to them like candy. So certainly make sure that you have the Illinois Poison Control Center number, 1-800-222-1222 on your phone. For emergencies, please always call 911. If you have suspected poisoning, you can call the Poison Control Center or call 911. Certainly, time is of the essence. Educate your kids. Use again child-resistant packaging, and store your medications up high in your medicine cabinet. So certainly that's a big thing. So what can we talk about? What's going on in my world? Well, as I mentioned last week, the governor did propose his budget, right? So his budget address was last week. Ironically, the presidential address to Congress is this week, if you're going to tune into that. But one of the things that we are looking at, and a lot of people like to look at with regards to the state of Illinois, is the budget and what was called the structural deficit. So, what we're looking at when we look at a structural deficit, if you've heard this around in writings or in various different news, this kind of exists whenever the system fails to generate enough revenue growth over an extended period of time to cover the costs of one, maintaining delivery at the same level of public services from year to year. Of course, after adjusting for changes in inflation and population, and then two, repaying existing debt service. So Illinois has had, you could say, a structural deficit for decades, for generations, all the way going back tens, 40s and 50s. So pretty much overspending on services is not always the driver of a structural deficit. So you can say, the budget is growing and that's why there's a structural deficit. Not really. If you adjust for inflation in our general fund, just a little budgeting 101 for you. In our general fund, spending on our core services, which is education, healthcare, human services, and public safety. Those are the four main drivers of our budget core. It's actually projected to be 9.1% less at the end of this year than it was under Republican Governor George Ryan back in fiscal year 2000. Despite the fact that real service expenditures have increased during the Pritzker's time in office. So you want to sit there and say, how does that make sense? Well, obviously, things are more expensive as it is now than then. And for quite an example, when I went to college in the 90s, the line item for our universities and colleges was about $2.4 billion. Now, we are just now, in today's dollars, over $2 billion. So what you're talking about is mid 90s or to the late 90s, let's just say 95, 96 is when I was finishing up college, 97. So in the late 90s, we are now spending almost the same today as we did back then. And that's not even taking into account for inflation or cost of living or anything else. So we're actually spending in real numbers less than we did back in the past. So despite this, the state has a 25-year track record of cutting real spending on core services because of making sure that we don't burden the taxpayers more with increases over the years. So the proposed budget that we have, fiscal year 2026, would increase spending by less than 1% over the fiscal year 2025 levels. So, in essence, the state is living within its means, but many core services now, like education, they remain funded at a flat level, which is in essence a bit of a cut because of inflation and increases in salaries and repairs and cost of doing business. In real terms, our budget is spending less on these services than in fiscal year 2000. So folks want to understand why tuition is so high. It's because of this. So But just to give you a rundown, we talked a little bit about the budget, and I think it doesn't hurt to repeat talking about the budget. The budget is the number one um, fiscal document of the state. The General Assembly has the authority for approving monies. So we are looking at public safety is a small increase, about 159 million, $2.68 billion worth of V goes to public safety. So the state of Illinois takes public safety very, very importantly. Human services, and this is human services are, for the most part, uh, anything that touches a human, to be quite honest, from cervical breast cancer screenings to violence protection to youth mental health services, youth job employment, anything in that realm that pretty much helps people. Medicare and Medicaid falls under human services as well. Medicare on the federal level, Medicaid on the state level. So that falls under that. So we spend on human services, this is on people, $11.97 billion. That's about a $452 million increase over last year's budget. Department of Early Childhood, 21.7 million. And that's up about 7 million from FY25. Flat funding for early childhood block grants at its fiscal year 2025 level, that's $748 million. So if you were to look at inflation and if you look at salaries and the like, when you say flat funding, what does that mean? Well, actually, it's really translates to a cut of about $22 million because things go up year to year. I mean, just look at the price of eggs. They haven't come down yet. In fact, they're still going up. So feeding students, educating students, making sure that those 0 through 6 age bracket where education is so important, it's flat funded. So child care assistance program, to get people to work, we have to help them with their child care. It's increased up from 943 million to 1.2 billion, about a $256 million in normal costs. So certainly that's something that's a bit of an increase. Looking at the annual appropriation formula now, every year that we pass the evidence-based funding formula, we put in the law that the state has to, without a doubt, pay an additional $350 million every single year. So evidence-based funding formula is up again, $350 million. We put 50 million of that into the property tax relief grant for eligible school districts. So about 300 million of that goes to K through 12 education. So our fiscal year 2026 is $8.9 billion. So that's a lot of money to fund our schools. Still, as we've seen, it's not adequate. We're certainly trying to do more. So that's why we increase every single year that. And then we are funding the teacher vacancy grant pilot program at about $45 million. There's a huge teacher shortage, and we know that, and we need to educate our children. So funding that, and then increasing the monetary award program, the MAP grant, which again helps individuals and students in college. So we increased that by about $10 million. So in total for FY 2026. So certainly that's really a help for folks. And then dollar increase of about $46 million to the state's public universities, community colleges, with 37 million going to public universities, 9 million going to base operation and stabilizing grants for public community colleges and the state colleges of Chicago, which represents, if we look at this, an inflation deduction, inflation, if we're looking at deflation overall, really a $2.4 million decrease and an increase for our universities, and actually an increase of $3.4 million for our community colleges. So this budget shorts our universities and provides more funding to our community colleges, which I'm not on the higher ed appropriations committee, but I'm certain that the chairman, LaShawn Ford, will look into that. Again, as I talked about before, uh, we flat funding, um, I know it's something that people like to see in government and like, but it actually is shorting how we fund services that people depend on, that they agree that they need. But we do get a lot of reports. I talk to you about this all the time. So the Center for Tax and Budget Accountability shows that spending on the 4 core state services, as I said before, 9.1% less in real dollars than it is in fiscal year 2000. So, but that's actually, believe it or not, a bit of an improvement. I know you're sitting there saying, how is that an improvement? But when we look at this and the Center for Tax and Budget Accountability for fiscal year 2022, they reported that core service expenditures were 22.3% less than FY 2000. So we've gone from 22.3% less to 9.1% less when adjusting for inflation. And then if we look at the 2014 budget, right after I got into office and towards the beginning of the Bronner years, fiscal year 2014 budget, core service expenditures were 28% less than fiscal year 2000. So when you're looking at fiscal year 2000 as the benchmark, and we look at this structural deficit, really, we have made great strides from 2014 to when we were at 28% less than fiscal year 2000 to now 9% less than fiscal year 2000. So, and pension payments have gone up. In FY19, they were 7.4 billion. They're budgeted this year at 10.6 billion, and they're over $11 billion for fiscal year 2026. So that's certainly things that we need to look at as well. There's a little budget snapshot. I know it's a lot of numbers and not everybody is a budget. Certainly budget hawk or want to look at it, but I just want to give you just an overview on. These are things that come across my desk. These are things that we work on. Now that I'm a PROP chair, which is a budget committee, looking at those expenditures as well, which is really, really important. So certainly that's a huge thing. And then going in the Wayback Machine, talking about former governors, if you haven't heard about it, I know I mentioned it last week, but again, Governor Jim Edgar hopes to beat pancreatic cancer. He is 78 and going over chemotherapy for 3 weeks now after being diagnosed last month. So certainly we want to keep him in our thoughts. It certainly is an aggressive cancer. So, and then looking at some of the bills that we're looking at. So one of the bills that's hitting our docket is the craft distillery industry. So not craft beer, but craft distilleries. This would be your wine and spirits, more on the spirit side. So what we've had since Prohibition is a 3-tier model when it comes to liquor distribution. A company cannot make the liquor, distribute the liquor, and sell the liquor. So you can't have in this case, the liquor production, and then you can't own the trucks that deliver it, and you can't own the bars that sell it. So craft distillers are very small, and they're looking at a bill to create a Class 3 license to allow distillers the opportunity to both self-distribute and have on-site full bar privileges. They're saying that right now with the tariffs, aluminum is getting really expensive on the craft beer side, but here on the craft distiller sides, certainly they are seeing the squeeze, for lack of a better word. So we have about 60 craft distilleries. They can either self-distribute their product or offer a full bar on site for guests that includes beer and wine. The legislation is looking to changing this, allowing distillers of whiskey and other spirits to now do both. Looking at similar legislation that was in New York, California, and Kentucky, the legislative change comes. They just say that it's getting more and more difficult to do business in this market for small distillers, and they're also looking at the tariffs that the president is talking about is going to negatively affect their industry. So we're looking at that. We're also looking at legislation in the same vein. Right now, you could get, I believe, wine sold to your house and the beer of the month club, those kind of things. But you can't do that with spirits, with wine, with whiskey, or those kind of distilled alcoholic beverages. So they want to do a direct consumer model too. So you can order, you can be part of the bourbon of the month club or something to that effect, to be able to sell directly to individuals. So looking at that. Also, a bill that we are looking at would allow sexual assault survivors to use vouchers to pay for taxis or rideshare services like Uber and Lyft. This is another way to help people leave dangerous situations by giving them an actual way to leave. So the voucher system for 90 to 180 days after, at some point, if they need follow-up care, if they need to go to doctor's visits. Also, things like pharmacies, but there would be a cap on the voucher. Um, in essence, if somebody's in a domestic violence assault situation with a very controlling partner, trips could be very difficult. So looking to that. And then we got a briefing from Illinois Municipal League. They had a lot of platform legislation that they want, promoting local government efficiency, looking at public notice mandates. They want to be able to fulfill public notice mandates electronically. They want fair compensation for lift assist services, equitable motor fuel tax authority, housing initiatives on the local level, and unnecessary financial burdens on small municipalities. So they announced a whole bunch of legislation that they are looking on as well. And then there is a bill that looks at delinquent property taxes. So if you're delinquent on your property tax, your taxes get sold, somebody owns your house, and you're no longer in possession of your house. The Supreme Court ruled that that practice is technically unconstitutional because let's just say you own your house, you own all the equity in your house, and you just have back taxes. Then we sell, then the county sells the taxes, and then somebody has your house and your equity. So the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that it's unconstitutional to take away owners' property wealth. So Illinois is looking at becoming compliant. They are the last of the 12 states to become compliant. And so there's a bill there that is aimed to fix the issues. It says property owners whose taxes are sold shall have the right to recover surplus equity that was lost in the sale. It's only the right thing to do. There's another law, the Isolated Confinement Restriction Act. They want to refer it to the Nelson Mandela Act, that a committed person may not be in isolation confinement for more than 10 consecutive days. And then a bill that was filed last month to create the Slavery Disclosure and Redress Ordinance that would require corporations seeking to do business with Illinois to pay reparations if the company had any ties to slavery. So it is still in the House Rules Committee, but certainly looking to find, the bill sponsor there is Sonia Harper, so certainly looking to find solutions in that realm. And then plastic bag, paper bag, if you are on my email list, you would see that was our question with regards to our weekly poll. So if you got the email on Friday, take your poll. That was our question. Suzanne Ness has put a bill to prohibit businesses and grocery stores from providing single-use plastic bags to customers, as well as single-use paper bags. So 9 other states do this: California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Maine, New York, Oregon, and Vermont. Last week's poll would require schools, House Bill 3488, would require schools to create a public policy prohibiting the use of cell phones during instructional time and create guidelines on how to store cell phones when in a school building for the 2026-2027 school year. It does allow some exceptions. And overwhelmingly, 79% of respondents support that concept. So if you got the email, take the poll, let me know all what you thought. The email, just aside, talks about all sorts of programs, in addition to Real ID information and a Township Officials of Illinois scholarship. So if you're looking for scholarship, make sure you sign up for our email list. So just to give you that little bit of information for you. Certainly just trying to keep you informed. And then what else we are looking at in the Illinois House, in the General Assembly overall, is in terms of legislation. So in the Senate, Senator Cunningham introduced legislation aimed to address a projected energy deficit for Illinois. Rapid inflation, the steep tariffs on many goods used to build and maintain energy infrastructure could really affect our energy dependence. So again, talking about clean energy storage, battery technology that stores excess solar and wind power, very important that we have the storage that we need. And then one of the bills that I thought was interesting was Nick Smith had filed legislation about when he heard stories about folks that had to really struggle or wanted to buy tickets for the Taylor Swift Eras Tour. And third-party groups really drove up the prices. So his legislation would require ticket sellers to display the full price and assess fees to consumers when the price is first shown online. Ticket resellers would also be prohibited from selling or offering tickets they do not possess or have a contract to purchase. So this is a huge issue. It is now in the Consumer Protection Committee. So something that I'm interested in looking at with regards to that. And then looking to reduce mandates, school mandates, particularly we just talked about school funding. Senator Mary Edley Allen, she was a teacher, she's now a senator, is looking at some of the school mandates to help eliminate some of the stress. Representative Saeed, she's sponsoring a bill with regards to healthcare availability, with regards to independent body prescription review board with regards to prescription prices, and then looking at some of the things that you're like, well, these are all bills from other people. What are you doing? I have a long list of bills I'm working on. So I have, a lot, like, I'm not going to bore you with the numbers, but bills to increase access to career and technical education programs for high school students, getting them skills for the workforce, and then looking at addressing veteran housing issues, safety, and some requirements for autonomous vehicles, looking at that again. Also, again, looking at pensions, finding the fiscally responsible way to address our pension systems, in addition to, looking at supporting our community and supporting the nonprofits in our community. And some of them serve veterans, and some of them really help out our communities here in my area, which is Kane, Kendall, Will, and DuPage. So all 4 counties. So work with all of them for their needs as well. So that's just a number of bills that I'm sponsoring. Again, sign up for the email and you will get more comprehensive information on that. Now, one of the things that's interesting, you'd say, um, if you go to O'Hare Airport, you see a lot of motorists on the side of the road waiting to pick up people. There is what's called a cell phone lot, which means you sit in the lot and wait for your cell phone to ring when your person is available to pick up. Then you go from the cell phone lot to pick up the person. However, individuals are lining up on the shoulder in emergency lanes, and it's really really dangerous, to be quite honest, to sit on the side of the road or to try to merge back into fast moving traffic. So there is a bill. So last year, Representative Stevens submitted the O'Hare Driver Safety Act, and it was enacted as aimed at improving safety for those driving to the airport. The new law prohibits motor vehicles from idling or stopping on the shoulder of a highway, including a highway entrance and exit ramps, or on the side of the roadway, within 1/2 mile radius of the eastern entrance of O'Hare International Airport, as well as the intersection of Interstate 90 and Interstate 294. It also requires the Illinois Tollway Authority to install and maintain cameras along the same areas. Now, there are some jurisdictional issues that complicated the installation of the cameras and the enforcement of the law. So now we have to do what's called a trailer bill. So just because a law was signed into law and enacted, sometimes the implementation is not quite what we expected. So there's a trailer bill that is needed to ensure that all necessary state agencies have the authority to complete the work to make sure that this becomes a reality. So I appreciate that. It's going to be heard in our transportation committee. So just so that you might not know that when you're picking up your loved one at O'Hare International Airport, you are no longer allowed to stop on the shoulder. You must use the cell phone lot that was created for drivers so they can remain in their vehicles while they await incoming flights at O'Hare International Airport. So just wanted to give you that tidbit of information with regards to some of the laws that are coming out. And lastly, I won't bore you with more laws, but this is my world I live in, is laws and legislation. But predatory towing practices in Illinois is really, really frustrating how to address it. Illinois has led to pull licenses, but then there's a name change, and there's probably at least one folk song and many frustrated drivers when we're looking at illegal predatory towing practices. So there is a bill now to curb towing companies' ability to take advantage of car owners whose vehicles crash or break down. So the bill would give the Illinois Commerce Commission the authority to crack down on businesses who use loopholes under current laws and hold towing firms accountable. So this is State Senator Selena Villanueva is doing this. So the commission has fined repeat offenders hundreds of thousands of dollars, but they go unpaid because they just really stop operating and rename their business as a different business. And so certainly to look at these companies that ignore the citations, ignore the legal operations, and continue to operate illegally. And that's because the current towing law is written in a way that has a huge loophole in it. And they can register with a new towing license just by changing the company name. So this bill pretty much takes away that provision that they would be able to do that. It won't regulate pricing because that's kind of done by federal law, but it really takes aim at the predatory practices that we are seeing in this bill. So giving you a little bit of that. And again, there's more, there's a lot more bills, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of an of what we have to look at. And we do look at things on the national level as well. And I did touch on the tariffs. And the 25% tariffs, we did have the Governor's Office of Management and Budget Director testify on the House committee about the economic and administrative policies that are affecting Illinois. And so what we are looking at is that there's a lot of uncertainty in our budgeting. So we have a $55.2 billion budget. The budget is, as any budget, it's a forecast. It's what we plan to spend next year. And so there is risk. Now, right now, we are still waiting for and wrote a letter to the Federal Office of Management and Budget because the federal government is withholding $1.9 billion with a B. That's already been promised to Illinois. There's really no real way to prepare for what's happening in Washington. And certainly we need to look at our revenue projections and see how it comes up with taxes have to be filed by April 15th. So there could be some good news for state finances when income tax revenue is reported by the end of April. So they are expecting a pretty significant April tax payment. But again, the new tariffs could certainly and could really look at disrupting our state's economy. Now, where are we at? Illinois imported $83.9 billion worth of goods from Canada and Mexico in 2023. That's the most recent year that we have data available. For China, the state imported $43.9 billion worth of goods. So our top 5 trade partners is number 1 is Canada. Number 2 is China, number 3 is Mexico, number 4 is Germany, and number 5 is Japan. So we are importing a huge amount. So now when we're looking at in total, that's $127.8 billion of imports from China, Canada, and Mexico. So in total, we are looking at the tariffs really raising the prices, not only on the state of Illinois, but everybody who lives here. Illinois does input oil and gas from Canada. So high energy and gas prices could be just like egg prices going up. And then 72% of Illinois imports from Canada in 2023, like I said, oil and gas. China is the second highest volume imports, $43.9 billion worth of goods. 27.2 billion of that were computers and electronics. So that is really going to hit really hard. We sent what do we export?
Your Google Home isn't set up yet.
We brought those in.
Download the Google Home app on a phone or tablet.
So what do we wind up doing for Mexico? Alcohol and cars that come from Mexico goods, 18.3 billion of imports from Mexico in 2023, including 5.9 billion of beverages and tobacco and 2 billion of transportation equipment. So what do they get from Illinois? China, Canada, and Mexico receives 37.9 billion of exports from Illinois in 2023. Half of the state's exports for the year, 3 billion in agricultural goods goes to China, which means honestly that's our soybeans and our corn that go to China and Mexico, and nearly 4 billion of machinery goes to Canada. So Canada is proposing taxes and tariffs on us, and just so that you know, 3.2 billion of food and primary metal manufacturing products went to Canada as well in 2023. So it's a huge issue. I know it's not the most exciting thing to read about, but tariffs is a huge issue when we are looking at what is going on the national level. And then on the national level, besides tariffs, we're looking at what Medicaid cuts would be coming down from the national level. It would have devastating impacts to everyday people. So the House budget calls for $2 trillion in cuts focused on safety net programs like Medicaid, though it doesn't really say what these cuts are. So that's the US House. 3.4 million people, including half the children in the state, are covered by Medicaid. Medicaid is the largest insurer of people in nursing homes. Nursing homes. Frail, elderly, and children are covered under Medicaid. I've said that before. I'll say it again. And certainly there are budget implications if the US House cuts Medicaid. It's a reimbursement program, so the state spends the money, the federal government reimburses us for the money that we spend in the Medicaid program. It's about 50 cents on the dollar. And we have, literally, this is the only way that people can go to the hospitals. Hospitals are surviving on Medicaid. It's going to be massive cuts and layoffs to healthcare and free care clinics and some of the things that people rely on. If you want to know what our Medicaid numbers are, Illinois that are Medicaid by Medicaid, 3.4 million, approximately 1 in 4 Illinoisans. The amount of children covered for Medicaid is 1.4 million. The percentage of Illinois births that are covered under Medicaid is about 44% of children born is a Medicaid. Illinois adults covered by the Affordable Care Act expansion, 770,000 individuals, and those would be off coverage if they cut Medicaid. Illinois nursing home days covered by Medicaid, 68% of the days that individuals are in nursing homes are covered by Medicaid. Mental health care patients covered by Medicaid, 80% of Illinois mental health care patients are covered by Medicaid. And Illinois people living with HIV covered by Medicaid is 50%. And the number of people employed by Illinois hospitals and the healthcare systems, it's about 11% of the state's total employment, 445,000 individuals. So this is what they're looking at when you talk about cutting government. I've said this before. So as I said, 770,000 Illinoisans were covered through the Affordable Care Act expansion. They would otherwise be ineligible for Medicaid. So when they want to reduce or eliminate, that's certainly a huge thing. So just giving you a synopsis of Springfield and what's pretty much going on and there's a lot more, but I'll leave it at that. One of the things I wanted to talk about on a positive note is the Illinois State Board of Education released new data from the College Board that shows the Illinois class of 2024 set new records in advanced placement, participation, and performance. So Illinois ranks among the top 5 states in multiple AP success matrix. So we rank 3rd in the nation for the 10-year increase in the percentage of graduates scoring a 3 or higher on an AP exam during high school, 5th in the nation for the percentage of class of 2024 scoring a 3 or higher in an AP exam during high school, pretty much up from 6th last year, 4th in the nation for the percentage of Black African American graduates taking an AP exam during high school. We jumped up from 11th to 4th, huge increase. 5th in the nation for the percentage of Hispanic Latino graduates taking an AP exam during high school, maintaining the same as last year. 3rd in the nation for the percentage of Asian graduates, and 5th in the nation for the percentage of graduates overall taking an AP exam during high school. So congratulations on Illinois working hard to ensure that our students are ready for the future. The percentage of Illinois graduates scoring a 3 or higher on an AP exam increased by 6.7%, rising from 21.6% in 2014 to 28.3% in 2024, outpacing the national average of 22.6%. So people want to say nothing good is going on in Illinois. They're lying. There's a lot of good things going on in Illinois. So speaking of college, Illinois Students Assistance Commission and Kaplan, they announced free test prep courses. So ISAC, Illinois Student Assistance Commission, is the state's college access and financial aid industry. They contracted with Kaplan to provide free test preparation courses to all students enrolled in Illinois' public universities. So the GRA, the GMAT, LSAT, all those state bar exam, real estate securities exam, and more, because we are helping students who may have some financial barriers achieve educational and career success. So we're also looking at, hopefully this will help individuals in our job deficits. More than 14,000 nurses and more than 6,000 doctors by 2023 is going to be a huge deficit. So again, if you go to a community college, 5 community colleges around the state and 12 public universities. Get those free tests. And the announcement, a couple announcements I want to tell you about statewide is the Attorney General warns of ticket scams at festival and concert season approaches. Ticket scams, verify the website you're on. Don't just Google it. Go directly to the website. Know that they're an official ticket seller. If it is too good to be true, it is too good to be true. You're probably getting scammed. Avoid private sellers on social media and message board. Buying from an unknown individual, they might want you to pay up front and then scam you out of it. Use your credit card. Do not use your debit card. Use your credit card for purchases. They have better buyer protections. Don't pay with gift cards or Zelle or any of that. Confirm with the venue before the event. Call the venue in advance to verify whether the tickets are valid. And then read your terms and conditions. So you can report fraudulent ticket sales, Chicago, Springfield, and 1-800-386-5438 is the Chicago line. And now scams, it's, as dandelions are going to start popping up in your yard, scammers are going to start popping up. Don't click on anything in your email, in your text, anything. Illinois Tollway, if you get a text saying you have unpaid tolls from the Illinois Tollway, ignore it. It's a scam. You will get a letter in the mail if you have unpaid tolls. You will not get a text message. So if you get a text message, do not click on any links. Go to your computer, log onto your account, and look at it. Report it as junk or forward scam text to 7726 before deleting them. Be cautious of out-of-state area codes. So certainly that's just the scam of the week. More scams will be coming. Certainly, please be diligent as well with scamming on this spring. And then finally, the state museum, well, not finally, but the state museum honors Black military heroes as Black History Month concludes. If you don't go to the state museum, it really is a nice visit. It's in Springfield, and it is a small state museum that really has a big heart. So one of the most notable figures honored was Otis Duncan. He was a Springfield native who commanded the 370th Infantry Regiment during World War I. Before his military service, he helped quell the 1908 Springfield race riots, during which his family home was attacked and ransacked. Despite their heroism, many Black soldiers returned from war only to face continued discrimination and exclusion from the very freedoms they fought to protect. So looking at honoring our, during Black History Month is our military heroes as well. And then certainly, is flying still safe? There's been some near misses, there's been some other issues, but overall, you should not really have to worry. Residents, are still fairly, safe to fly. In fact, I'm flying in about a month. So, but if you want to rethink your travel plans, there are other options, including Amtrak and driving. But certainly getting ready for busy season, and flying is still safe. So other than that, we are looking at going back to Springfield in regards to Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We are going to be working a lot of committee work, not a lot of floor work, but a lot of committee work as we continue to look at not only the bills that we have here, but also, as I talked about before, the budget. There's a March 14th federal government funding deadline. The federal government could shut down. Um, it really could, if the government does shut down, um, again, lay off a lot of federal workers that haven't been laid off, and certainly could have devastating consequences. So that's on our radar. I mean, like, there's a lot of stuff on our radar, to be quite honest. Certainly looking at all that, and I really don't want to bore you down, but really a lot of things on the docket, a lot of things going on the national level. We're at the state level, just let you know, we are keeping an eye on it. I know there are a lot of people that are worried about things, but you can always reach out. If I'm not your representative, reach out to the representative in your area, reach out to your senator. We're here to help you. And then I'll leave you with some local news. Coyote sightings are on the rise. In DuPage County and around. But there are some things that you need to know, that coyotes are active pretty much year round. But January through early spring is their mating season, so it makes them more visible as they establish territory, search for food. So be very careful because winter conditions make food scarce. They roam wider areas. And so they are highly adaptable and they tend to avoid human interactions. They often go to cemeteries, golf courses, forest preserves. But we have, some farm area in our area, and it's estimated there to be 3,000 to 4,000 coyotes across DuPage. So here's some tidbits just to leave you with. Pet owners. Coyotes see other dogs as competition during the breeding season, and also they got to eat. Never feed or corner a coyote. This can make them bolder around humans. Keep your dogs leashed and supervised, especially in fenced yard. Keep cats indoors, especially at night. Cats, very, very small dogs, can be targeted for food. If a coyote gets too close, pick up small pets, make eye contact, make loud noises, and never run. Walk slowly away. If you run, they might chase. Coyotes are here to stay. Need to know how to coexist with them, and keep your pets safe, avoid direct interactions, minimize conflicts, and appreciate the intelligent creatures from a distance. And then a lot of things going on. A new restaurant is open in downtown Aurora, or on Front Street, by a Latin Grammy winner. His name is Memo Ibarra. And so it's a Mexican eatery named Menudazo. Traditional soups, menudo, traditional soup made with cow tripe, and then pasoli, soups, and all other a huge menu. So certainly check that out if you'd like to check out a new wrestling. And then Oswego's made history with a state wrestling medal. So, Oswego senior Kaya Chavez was officially made school history, becoming the first ever girls state medalist for the Oswego High School wrestling program. Congratulations to her. Obviously, there's a lot going on. It's going to be springtime. Go out, enjoy the outdoors, go for walks, the Morton Arboretum, the parks in the area. There's a lot to be seen in our community and a lot to enjoy. So certainly, I want to encourage you to get out and enjoy nature. I mean, the weather's got to be starting to get better soon. So really, truly, that's the best thing you can do. And then finally, I wanted to give a shout out really to the Chase family. Stacy Chase lives in our area. Her and her husband and their daughter Olivia passed away last week, actually, yesterday, and it's very, very heartbreaking. I've known them. I've met Olivia. Wear pink on Sunday, and really, it's she fell ill, didn't wake up. But on the positive side is Olivia was an owner donor. So Stacy and Steve, we're keeping you in your thoughts and prayers. But they posted on Facebook that Olivia, in her passing, although it's very, very heart-wrenching, was able to donate all of her organs, her heart, her liver, her kidneys, her spleen, her lungs, and all of the tissues as well, um, to give people a chance at living. So those donations are so priceless. And even through tragedy, Olivia was supposed to help, and Stacy posted online that it makes them so joyful knowing another person will be able to live with their heart and hopefully live a long and wonderful life. We will now pray for her to bring health and healing across the country to families that are being given the news that they have been given hope in their time, in our time of despair. She provides hope. What a wonderful blessing. So please keep Stacy and Steve in your thoughts and their family. With the passing of Olivia, I've met Olivia. Oh, she's such a wonderful child, a wonderful girl, and certainly want to leave you with that, and to share their story of organ donations to give other families hope um, as well. So with that, have a great beginning of March. Today's March 3rd, and I'll be back to you next Monday with our update. So take care. Have a great day. Be well, be safe, and if you get a chance, get outside and enjoy the springtime. So take care, everybody.